1 minute. Who's sitting by Aaron? I can't see. Aaron. Okay, ready to go. 3 o'clock. Yeah.
You guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. My name is Kim McKechnie. I am the Director of Communications, Marketing, and Alumni Relations for the university. I'll hand it off to the President in just a minute. I wanted to start and ask for the opportunity to start today. Our unit organizes these town halls, the budget forums, works with Office of Resource Planning on the budget site and things like that. And we try to consult and work with the President's Office to consult as much as possible. And I would just want an opportunity to urge people to get in touch with us if they think there are more and better ways we can consult on ideas for budgeting, for improving the university and things like that. If it's budgeting, we have an address, budget@uregina.ca, that you can email, and we will try to accommodate any recommendations or suggestions there. You can also email the.president@uregina.ca, and that will be on the President's slides at the end of the presentation if you want to email that address. So we really are just looking for ways to more effectively consult with campus students, faculty, and staff. So please take the opportunity to do that if you have ideas on how we can do that better. So with that, I will hand it off to President Timmins.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you everyone for coming. I want to first acknowledge that we are on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territories. The university is an important part of our past and more important part of our future. So I'm going to begin today. It'll be a little different with the State of the University address that I gave to the Chamber of Commerce meeting. And I want to tell you why I'm doing that. The Economic Development Regina, ROC at the time it was called, did this economic impact study for us. And it was a focus, and we felt with the election coming, it was important to tell a story that may resonate with politicians about the importance of investing in the university because we're an economic driver. We're also a social driver, cultural driver, but I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that the politicians hear and respond to us. A number of faculty members came to the State of the University address and said to me, we really think it's important you do it on campus. So I'm doing an abbreviated version for you on here, and I'm hoping you'll be as pleased with the results from that independent study. Much of this you know already, but we can't take it for granted that others know it, and so it's important that we have speaking notes to help advocate, especially during this election time. So I'm going to take this opportunity, I'm going to give the report, I'm going to give you then a quick update and then answer any questions you may have about what's going on in the university. So first, I want to begin with the importance of the University of Regina in closing the Aboriginal education gap and how critical that is for us. We're having an impact in the area of Aboriginal education. It's one of the key points that I made at the Chamber luncheon, in that now we're bumping up about 12% of our students are self-identified as First Nations. You educate the mothers, you're going to educate the next generation. So this has been a real push for this university in our strat plan. We know an Aboriginal Canadian is 3 times less likely to obtain a degree than a non-Aboriginal person. There's a moral imperative for addressing this, but also an economic reason. Saskatchewan's unemployment rate for First Nations peoples remains more than 4 times higher than the general population. And as Professor Howe from the University of Saskatchewan, he said that inserting 19.1 billion increase in GDP over 20 years would come into this province if we could close that gap. And inserting this amount of money and new employees into the provincial economy would cause the first ever made in Saskatchewan boom. Note that he said will cause, and he's as confident that as I am that if we really invest in our First Nations population, we can close that gap. We've seen in this university, your university, 63% increase since 2010 in enrollment of Aboriginal students. Why is this happening? Why are we seeing this increase? I think it's for a number of reasons, a large number of reasons. The support system we put in place in the university, First Nations University is critically important. I think there's an acknowledgement that post-secondary education can change the future and path for students. So we have at U of R a higher number than the national average of single parents. And I think these parents are enrolling in our institution to change the life path for those students, their children. And we play a major role in that. We also chatted at the Chamber about international diversity, and this was key in the economic survey. They took a really good look at the impact our international student body has on the local economy. As you know, we more than doubled international enrollments since 2009, 113% increase in 7 years from more than 120 countries, just under 14% of the overall student body. And they spend $40 million annually in the Regina area. $20 million we get in this university in tuition revenue from them. They're talented, hardworking students, many now working in our communities since the change with the work visa. So that's important for us. Students like Favor and Victoria, the two Nigerian young women who we advocated for, who were deported and came back, are now going to graduate and are able then to go back to Nigeria with a degree and to make a difference for their children. Their stories are our stories. They're your stories, stories of making a difference. And our support made that happen for those two students. Our overall enrollment increases surprise people that we've increased by 21% since 2009, 7 consecutive years of increased enrollment, and that's with the high school demographics declining in terms of graduates. So that means we are getting more of the market share of students. Our student body is now 14,360 strong, size of a North Battleford, a city within a city, and that those students spend $200 million annually in Regina. We are an economic driver, so an investment in the university is an investment in the economy. The result, we had our largest convocation ceremony ever last June. Nearly 3,000 students graduated. We had 6,200 people attend the convocation, and 75% of the attendees were from outside Regina. And even on convocation weekend, we have a great significant impact on the Regina economy on that weekend. Our grads are earning more money over their careers, they're getting employed, and they're getting good, successful jobs. We are graduating career-ready students. A co-op program, a big success. 800 placements in nearly 200 companies last year. Nearly $10 million earned by those students in 2010. Also chatted about the UR Guarantee Program, one of its kind in Canada. We have now 1,730 students currently enrolled. And we've had one student come back to take courses and have their tuition covered, one. So we're really pleased with that program. And those students were seeing a higher retention rate of the students in the UR Guarantee Program. And as you recall, that was why we brought it and put it in place, was to enhance student success, not for career purposes, and it's working. Innovative research culture. We're recognized by others outside the province. The university is #1 in research impact among comprehensive universities in Canada, and that is measured by the number of times our professors' publications are cited in other publications. We're home to 9 research chairs, and we've had 4 Fulbright scholars. Congress coming, we talked about the estimate $8 million spending in 1 week just by the Congress attendees in this city. Talked about international collaboration, that we're ranked #1 in international research collaborations among comprehensive universities by Research InfoSource, and we have lots of agreements and partnerships with international colleagues. I want to give you a quote from the Economic Development Regina. They said, "The university is globally connected, locally committed." And I don't think there's any stronger symbol of our local community commitment than our College Avenue campus, serving 8,000 learners aged 6 to 96 years old, and it contributes $18 million in gross domestic product, GDP, annually to this city. Supports nearly 500 full and part-time jobs, and we talked about the importance of revitalization, not for just moral, heritage reasons, but also for economic reasons. It's a real driver. So the overall impact that we have, the university, the quote is, the University of Regina plays a vital role as a driver of economic, social, and cultural well-being in the Regina region and across Saskatchewan. And look at the evidence. We were able to show that $542 million in provincial GDP annually, over $500 million. We support, if you look at all of the jobs supported by the university, 6,400 jobs across the province, generates $82 million in taxes federally and $69 million in taxes provincially. Our provincial grant is less than the taxes we pay. So we pay $10 million more in taxes. That's not the economic impact stuff, that's in taxes, than we get from the provincial government. So what our message was to the Chamber and is to the province, that the public investment in the University of Regina has a healthy return for the community. If you want a stimulus package, invest in a university. And we're looking at, for every faculty we hire, the research money they generate, the research assistants, the students they teach, all of that has an impact in the community. And I need to make sure that this is communicated. We're seen as a third-party investment by the provincial government, and I'm trying to say that we are different than health. We are different than the K-12 system, because every investment you make at the university, you reap the benefits immediately of that investment in the economy. And so that was the message of this study. And so this is where you come in, and that's what I said to the Chamber, that you need to be proud of our institution and what we contribute to the economy. And I hope you, as I asked the Chamber members to do, will take one of the facts, and I think everybody got a handout. Carly, did everyone get a little brief? And share it with a neighbor, someone in the community, because I think it's important to say the message, investing in the University of Regina is investing in a healthy economy, and that's important. So I wanted to talk to you about this and give you, and that's a very brief overview, because I did a 20-minute, 25-minute presentation. This is a 12-minute one, but it was to kind of highlight all the different areas that we have an economic impact in the community. So let me then move to just a brief update on the University of Regina and what's going on. It's a year since the launch of our strategic plan, and we're looking to measure the impact of activities that we've done so far. So that's happening right now. We'll have to report back to the board and look at really some of the areas like student success. What more can we do? How can we assist and support our students to be more successful? We're also looking for a new Indigenous lead. Shawneen Pete will be finished at the end of June, so we have a job ad out for that important position, and important in the role, in her role or his role of implementing our strategic plan. All of you have seen the economic forecast for the province. You know, it's good. They're forecasting another tight year. We have no indication about what the impact will be for the university, except that we keep being told it's a tight fiscal environment. And so we're attempting to prepare for that. Infrastructure, we're really working closely with the federal government to try to be able to access some infrastructure funds for the university, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do that. Fall enrollments, we're out actively recruiting, and we now are doing on-the-spot admissions, so our actual acceptances are ahead of what they were last year. But we know that the local high school, right to grade 8, we're dropping in high school grads, and in grade 8 we start to see the curve turn back up. So we know we have 4 years of really having to recruit hard to maintain our student numbers that we have right now. And right now, 70% of our students come from 1 hour outside of Regina. So we have changed the picture of the school, because I know that years ago it would have been 70% from 1 hour inside. But we still, that 30% is a critical population for us to ensure and work with. You know, you've seen an email of me that I put out called Deliberations and Debate. I'm looking to sponsor some more debates on campus, some speakers that bring in views that are unique and different, that may challenge our assumptions, that really identify us as a place and space where we can have hard, challenging, robust debate and discussions respectfully. And that word is key, respectfully. And so I would encourage you to work with your faculty and your units, your admin units, to think of speakers that you think you want to propose to the committee to bring in that will ensure that we have lots of active conversation on campus. When we look at universities across the country, I say the word I'm using is we see them being sanitized, that we're not engaging in the kind of debate universities should be. And so the Liberal Arts Advisory Group is sponsoring Harvey Weingarten tonight. He was the past president of the University of Calgary. He's bringing in a different look and approach to universities. And I was watching the Moodle site today saying, well, why has he been brought to campus 3 times? Well, he did come to speak to the Board of Governors about the state of the environment across Canada. He also came to speak to the deans about the move to look at outcomes, measures in education. And the Liberal Arts Advisory Committee thought that, because we had seen what he did, that he might be provocative and interesting to bring to the campus-wide. So that's the reason we're bringing him. Plus, he didn't charge us anything. So that's important, too. But he does provoke you to think. I don't agree with all his assumptions, and you need to know that, but that's good. I'm like bringing a speaker in that's going to challenge me and hopefully challenge you. So if you can come tonight, I really encourage you to come to that talk, and I look forward to more of those discussions. So I'm just going to open the floor for questions, comments, concerns that you may have that you'd like to share with me. Because even though I spoke for 15 minutes, 17 minutes, my hope was, as always on these town hall meetings, that I hear from you. That's the purpose of them. That's why I host them. So I'll open the floor. You're going to moderate. Let me know what do you think of the results of the economic impact study? Was it a surprise to you, or is it something you always knew?
Feel free to come down and use the mics, or I can run this one up to anybody who needs one.
Anyone want to speak about begin with the economic impact study? Could be a very short town hall. Anyone have questions or comments for me as president? You know the provincial budget is not coming down until after the election. It makes it very challenging for us. It bumps everything back quite a bit, so we won't be releasing our university budget probably into May, June, because we have to hear first from the province. No questions or comments from you?
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely. Come to the mic.
Well, see, I asked if I could make it from here because I didn't.
Yeah, you can make it from there. We'll bring the mic up from there.
She just wants to make me work.
The reason we want you to speak in the mic because it's being taped.
No, it really was more of a comment, and I was going to say, as you talk about the impact, that when I first moved to Saskatchewan and I was hanging around in Saskatoon, one of the comments I often heard was that it's University City, the community sort of growing as a result of a university. And I think to some extent that could also happen here and in other places. So it's just a comment, really. I mean, it makes sense to me.
Well, I think when we see the changing landscape of our city, I know the universities that had an impact. In particular, around, we know that about 70% of our international students are staying in Canada, and about 70% of those staying in Canada are staying in Regina. That's changing the city. Right?
In the same way that it's a government town.
Yes, yeah. A university town, government town, that's right, yeah. Yes? Congratulations on the play last night.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. It was much appreciated. We've just opened a play in the theater department called Attempts on Her Life, so I invite everyone to come to that. But I wanted to make a comment about, over the past 3 weeks, we've had 2 Danish scholars visiting us in the Faculty of Fine Arts from Aarhus, Denmark. And they've been very, very pleased with what they've encountered and will go back and encourage students to come in this direction as we will encourage students to go in that direction. But it becomes, and this is, we all know, and UR International is doing a fabulous job of making these links happen. And we all know how productive they are for students to travel and to go away, and also for students to come in. And yet it's like pulling teeth to get students to leave this campus or this province or this town. And I don't know if that can be addressed at your level. I don't know how we encourage students to become global citizens, because you've said this and we all realize this. This is exactly what we need to make this a university with huge impact.
I think we have to have a multi-pronged approach. We now have, as you know, we give every student who goes on international exchange $1,000 to help with the costs. I think every single professor, staff member needs to encourage our students. I know that the Universities Canada, one of their advocacy to the federal government, in the new federal government, is money for student mobility, so that we can get more money to our students to go abroad. Because I agree with you. And I know it's a challenge. When I was a student, undergrad student, I worked 40 hours a week on campus to pay for my university, even with scholarships, because I came from a poor family that could not help me out in university. So I know for some students it's an impossibility. And even if we're able to fund it, it's still a very difficult. Many, as you know, have children. Remember I said we're higher than the national average. Well, for many, I think it's to say this is a possibility. You can do this, and to find ways to support them in going internationally. And we're seeing more and more resources like the Queen. You want to speak about that? The Queen Scholarship? Queen Jubilee?
Just very quickly, the university's entered into the Queen Elizabeth II scholarship, which promotes outbound mobility in Commonwealth countries. It's quite an extensive scholarship program with a total investment from federal dollars and elsewhere of close to $1 million. So we're trying hard, Kathleen, to get people the resources necessary to do that outbound mobility, which, as you pointed out, is as important as inbound.
And that's
for
grad students only, though.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah. But we right now have 7 identified are going internationally. We'd like to see that quadrupled. Right? We have the resources to fund healthy scholarship for students to go internationally. Right? So we need you to help get that message out. And that's at the grad level.
Yeah. No, we have one grad student who is going, hopefully, to the UK.
Good, good. Questions, comments?
I would point out for every question, it gets a few more steps on my step counter. So, if you could ask a few more questions, it'd really help me out.
Yes.
I was on campus here when Judy Alexander, who was at that time a member of the economics department, and she did a study on the economic impact of the university on the city at the time. And up until that time, the city had been very non-committal about the university. But when they pointed out, and like I say, this is probably 30, 35 years ago, that the impact on the city was over $100 million at that time. The attitude of the city towards the university changed overnight. And it was very nice to see. So I'm going to encourage, when the people come to your door, knocking on your door, politicians, keep this economic study. Tell them what the impact of the university is. Talk to them about the contribution to post-secondary education, how important it is.
Thank you for that, Art. And I think this is really important data to get in front of politicians right now. I know the Star Phoenix called me today to get my thoughts on the election and the election promises from both parties, in particular increasing the scholarship for students. And I said that, that's great to do, but what it doesn't do is deal with equity. And so some students who really need resources, I'd like to see them get more funding, and students who have resources, less funding. So I would like to see that money funnel through the campus, and that we work on accessibility with it. And I also said that we can get as many students as we want, but if we don't have state-of-the-art equipment and facilities, we are letting them down, our students. And that investment is as critical, and faculty, frontline faculty, that investment is as critical as students' debt loads. So, you know, we need a more balanced, in my view, approach by both parties towards post-secondary education. I might get in trouble for that.
No, I think you partially touched on what I was just going to mention, is that actually one thing that's kind of seems to be not touched is the fact that faculty, but as well the administration who holds that faculty up, enables those programs like the UR Guarantee and these other, the international programs that, you know, really bring a lot of profile to the campus. That has to be
Supported and funded.
supported.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we can bring, like I said, we can keep focusing. I mean, bringing in increased enrollments have helped us navigate difficult times, right? But there's a point where you get to a sweet point where the numbers, you have to invest in more faculty and resources and supports and labs for students, studio facilities, so that they can get the kind of education they deserve here in Saskatchewan. And that's where we're at now. We need that kind of investment. You're right. And that's what I'm advocating for. So I might be in trouble with the politicians, but hopefully there'll be something said in the Star Phoenix on that. I want to talk to you a little bit about College Avenue campus. You know, that's been something I and you, all of you, have been pushing hard to see getting resources to revitalize. And you know, I said last time that we would have to look at thinking outside the box. So what we did is we put after the master plan was done, we had some buildings in College Avenue on that site that was in the new master plan. And we've gone out publicly, put out a tender to see if we can get someone to come in to contribute to the revitalization of College Avenue campus and maybe access some of those lands. And we have had some responses, and we're now looking at evaluating those. So stay tuned to that. It would be right on the College Avenue campus site. And I'm hoping that would leverage a contribution from the city and a contribution from the province. So I'm seeing this as a leverage, a way to show them that we're being creative, we're looking at partnerships, we're trying to be innovative in the funding for College Avenue campus. So I'll need your support as we go out publicly, because there are many people who feel that any development in the parklands would be problematic. But it would be more like the research park that we have by the university, that kind of development. It has to align with our philosophy and approach, and we'd be very careful about any partner we engage with. Any questions about that or concerns? Yes?
Just a comment that it would be, I suppose the timeline is I'm sure the timeline is too short to roll that into the Congress in 2018?
Wouldn't I love to have it revitalized by Congress, and it won't be, because that would be an amazing site to host events at, right?
And how are the plans coming for Congress?
I'll have the provost speak to that.
They're going well. We have a group up and running with deans, faculty, staff, federated colleges, beginning to plan some of the logistics. We hope to have what's called the academic convener, who will be a faculty member, who will be the kind of university's visible spokesperson and symbol, in place by September. I think the call for applications closed yesterday. So a subcommittee will meet and determine that person. We're going to be going to Congress 2016 in Calgary in May to promote the Regina Congress, and we'll be going to Toronto and Ryerson in 2017 to do the same thing. The big challenge is that for colleagues, Canadian colleagues who have not been to Regina, sometimes have assumptions about Regina. And so we're doing a full court press to talk to people in the various professional associations to say, it's a great place, come here with your family, spend some time on the way camping or whatever it is you'd like to do, and have a fine time at Congress 2018 in Regina to try to overcome the reluctance of some colleagues who would quite happily go to Toronto or Vancouver or Calgary or Ottawa, but might say, what are we really going to do in Regina? So we're working on that with the province, with the city, with the Hotel Association, with the Airport Authority, with local campgrounds, the whole 9 yards, in an attempt to make up a really good package for potential attendees. So it's rolling.
Other thing I'll mention to you is we have a major fundraiser event coming on May 7th, Saturday, May 7th, a Prairie Kitchen Party. We did the first one last year, and it was quite well received. We have 3 different musical bands playing. Lobster, it's a lobster dinner. The lobsters are piped in. So it's bringing a maritime and prairie culture together. So just keep your eye open if you're able to attend. The proceeds support student scholarships, so that's what we're focusing on. So that's an event that's coming up. Any other questions or comments? There's a town hall budget meeting. When is that date for that?
I actually,
April 6th?
I'll check the dates.
So there's where focus is on budget, because I don't focus on these meetings on budget because we have separate forums for that. I want to focus you on the general campus culture, what's happening, morale, issues. We just finished the employee engagement survey. Some of you may be seen the results in your units, but I will say overall, across campus, there were 4 or 5 areas that were noted. The first was work-life balance. So I've asked all the deans and directors to have a discussion with their units on ways we can promote work-life balance for faculty and staff. That was a consistent theme everywhere. And it is a theme, by the way, in many organizations today, the work-life balance. It's tough to maintain that. One of them was also trust in leadership that came up. And so the university executive team is going to take a look at what we've tried to do around transparency and openness and how we can respond to that and find out exactly what it is that the campus community is looking for that they're not getting. And so any input you have for me on that is appreciated. Awareness of our strategic plan was a real strength. It was high, ranked very high. Alignment of the strategic plan was not. So we've asked every one of the units to look at giving us feedback on how they've implemented initiatives that align with the strategic plan, so we can see where there's a disconnect on that. And then why people come to work, and that people come because they need to come to work and have to, not because they want to. So we, again, all of these things fit into that work-life balance and the need for us to make sure that people who are here, our staff that here, get up in the morning and want to come to work because they're being fulfilled. So we're going to work on all those areas with you over the next 2 years. And any input you have for me to help with that, things that we can initiate, I'd love to hear about it, right? So that you'll be hearing about more and more in detail from your own units on the employment engagement survey. Overall, it was very positive. Scores are high. Even in some of those areas, I think the one that scored the lowest was work-life balance. So that's the one I'm particularly concerned about.
so just to follow up on the note before, the budget forum is April 13th at 3 p.m. in the Education Auditorium. So
Okay, so
book it in your calendar.
we won't have the provincial budget at that time, but it will at least give you kind of where we're at as an institution. APT negotiations are back at the table, so those discussions are continuing. So we'll see the outcome of that. Kelly, when's the next negotiating? March 29th will be the next negotiating session. So conversations are still going, which is good. I'm trying to think of everything I can tell you. Brian.
One of the issues that's concerned faculty recently is library acquisitions.
Oh. Why don't you speak into the mic?
So one of the issues that has concerned faculty recently is the library acquisition situation and our necessary response to rising prices and declining currency. Would you like to speak to that or ask Tom to speak to that?
Why don't you speak to that, Tom? I could also, but for a chance to talk to him.
I think a lot of people in the room would have been following the, some of the postings on the Dean's Council Bulletin and some of the stuff that's coming out from the library. They've had 2 information sessions recently, but essentially the problem is this. Everybody knows the value of the Canadian dollar is way down. 80% of our acquisitions are paid for in American dollars. So immediately we've lost 33% of our purchasing power. We have kept the library acquisitions budget steady for the past couple of years. In an ideal world, we would be putting it up, but we obviously cannot put it up 30% to cover a change in an exchange rate, such as we've seen in the past couple of years. The other big issue is bundling. You've seen the debate around cable bundling and unbundling and light bundles and so on. It's exactly the same in the library acquisition world, where the big multinationals, whose profit margin is higher than that of Apple. The big publishers like Elsevier and Wiley and Blackwell are making a tremendous amount of money from the tuition and public funds that we give them to buy this stuff. And they'll say, if you want Journal X, we'll make it available to you, but it's part of a bundle. And that bundle might be 1,000 journals. When we look at the usage, only 8 or 10 of those journals are used by anybody, yet we're paying for 1,000. So this library and many Canadian academic libraries are saying, no, we're not going to continue this. We're going to try to find the journals that faculty actually need and to make sure that there's access to those, though the access may involve different routes than just instantaneous online access. It may involve some interlibrary loan or to buy that journal alone. But the days of our paying without question these huge bundles at huge cost that go up every year and then an exchange rate that is absolutely staggering, we cannot afford it. That's it in a nutshell.
So it's been tough for the library, and I know some faculty frustration I've heard. I think the library is doing the best they can to manage through this. And last year we were able to give them resources from the early retirement, but it was one time, so it doesn't deal with the issue because it's an ongoing budget issue. And so be patient and supportive of our library colleagues as they work with us through this. Any other questions, comments? Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'll bring it to a close. Thank you for coming out. I know it's a busy time of year, and I had said that, you know, this is always a difficult time to get people out. People are their heads down, they're working hard, they're marking, preparing for finals. It's a very busy time for our faculty and staff on our campus. But I appreciate that you took the time to come out. I think the greatest gift you give someone is your time, and I want to hope that you feel that I honored the gift you gave me by giving you some information that you did not know or that's new to you. So thank you very much for coming out and listening. And I want to let you know that my door is always open. Please come to speak with me if you have any issues. You can email me. I really need to hear from you. And we're not always going to be able to come to the same conclusion or solution, but that doesn't matter. The most important thing on our campus is that we interact and dialogue and that we communicate with each other respectfully on issues that we may differ on. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Thank you.